I got tired of pretending to fit in, so I created my own space where we get real, face the truth, and speak unapologetically. No filters, no compromises. This is where I show up. We don't wait for change, we create it. Welcome to Dark Diaries. Hey guys, welcome back to an episode of Dark Diaries. I'm your host, Caitlin Bradbury, and thank you for tuning in today. We have a lot of things that we're going to cover today. It's going to seem overwhelming and it's also going to seem random, but that's who I am as a person, so let's get into it, okay? As I said again, my name is Caitlin Bradbury. If you didn't listen to the first episode, I like to talk about weird things. We're going to talk about spiritual. We're going to talk about the brain. We're going to talk about forensic psychology. We're going to talk about conspiracy theories because the fucking drones in New Jersey. And if you've been following my social media, did you see the fucking aliens that I just posted? I'm pretty sure one of the videos that I posted too was an example of a plasmoid. And if you don't know what a plasmoid is, I just fucking learned what it was like 2 weeks ago. So I don't even really know what the hell it is, but I know it has something to do with physics, energy, and Albert Einstein helped to find it. So that motherfucker Einstein's so smart. Damn. All right. Well, the first topic that I want to cover today is going to involve I've talked about him a shitload on my social media. It's going to involve a man named Dr. Joe Dispenza. Again, if you don't know who Dr. Joe Dispenza is, he is he studies neuroplasticity, epigenetics, meditation and consciousness, the mind-body connection. So you can think of that more as like going in with meditation, but obviously you're connecting it well. Quantum physics and manifestation. A lot of this stuff is going to be woo-woo to some people. A lot of people probably already understand it or know who he is or already meditate or are interested in it or believe in ghosts and things like that. This is the kind of realm that we're going to talk about. So when we're breaking down something like this, and also I should probably say for my viewers who are just listening into Spotify or Apple Music and there's not a video, if for some chance there's not on Spotify, I have a board right here of things that I want to talk about. It's like talking points for me. And it also has the breakdown of Dr. Joe Dispenza and some other topics that we're going to talk about. So I'm sorry that you don't get to see that as well. But if you do, just go to my YouTube or Spotify. The video should be up. So it just makes it a little bit easier if you guys want to take notes or anything. If you don't, that's fucking cool too. But I'm a nerd, so I did it for my other fucking nerds, all right? Anywho, let's get back to Dr. Joe Dispenza. So neuroplasticity is something that he studies, and on my board that I was just talking about, it's the study of forming new neural connections. So he talks about rewiring the brain. So I'm going to use myself as an example because I am literally a product of his work. Last year, if you didn't listen to the first episode, the last year was absolutely fucking horrendous. I went through a lot of traumas pretty much back to back. A lot of, I almost said a lot of sexual assaults, but literally it was like that, but not to make it a dark way, but also what the fuck ever. And so I was obviously going through the ringer, had PTSD, triggered as a motherfucker, like I just wanted to end it all, damn near almost did, right? It was just one of those fucking years. And I begged my sister, I think it was around my birthday or Christmas. I was like, yo, for Christmas, or my birthday, whatever the fuck one it was, all I want is Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And she's like, what is that? Because she's a fantasy reader. Like, that's all the fuck she hears about to her. I'm like, I tried to get into it, but bitch, I can't. I need to learn something like that, okay? Anywho, so she bought me this book, and I read it, and I was blown the fuck away. Like, I've always believed in the spiritual realm. We're going to get in that in a second, because I'll tell you how I believed in it so early on. But I always believed in the spirit realm and things like that, and I always believed in the universe, and I was angel numbers this, and like everything has a meaning, everything happens for a reason. But even when I was in the depression, like it didn't fucking help enough. It wasn't helping enough. And so I had discovered this book, got the book, started reading it, and it was insane how much it resonated with me. And it gave me a Kundalini experience. And if you don't know what that is, I don't have time to jump that much into it today. But pretty much think of it of like your grandma coming up to you, she's slapping the hell out of you like, bitch, wake the fuck up. And you're pretty much awake. And that's as much as I'll go into that. Do your own little digging on that, okay? So anyway, I had that. I was like, how the fuck was I already so like spiritual in a way of like universe? And then I fucking gained more just from this. Oh my Lord. So if you haven't read that book, you need to read that book because it's honestly, it's life changing. I went from dumpster fire, ready to fucking kill myself, be done, to I'm sitting here with you guys, loving what the hell I do, studying forensic psychology. Like my life is still, it's still, a work in progress. I'm progressing, but holy fuck, is it so much better than what it was. Like that. Also the book, The Secret, I should have dumped that in here on the board, but the book, The Secret, that's kind of like similar to his book. If you've heard of that one, it's more popular back in the day. But I want to move on to epigenetics. That's the second one on the board. So epigenetics is the gene expression without changing DNA sequence. And I also want to not only just touch on how Dr. Joe Dispenza studies that, it's pretty much him saying like the rewiring thing over again of, whatever. That sentence I just said. Dr. Neil deGrasse, I was watching one of his documentaries on Tubi, I believe it is. I forget the name of it right now, but I was watching one of his documentaries and he was talking about how the DNA sequence is literally made out of the same thing as universe. So I believe, I made a TikTok on it too. Hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, and oxygen, which that's really fucking interesting to learn. And then also to learn that we've only just added on rungs, a couple rungs or whatever throughout time, like from evolution. So it started off, I'm not even going to explain. I'm going to shut the fuck up on that because he's way smarter than me to explain it. Go look up Dr. Neil deGrasse, however you say it, on Tubi. That'll explain a lot more, but just know that Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and Dr. Neil deGrasse's work with DNA specifically is fucking mind-blowing when you start getting into it. I nerd out on that shit, and like I worked in the hospital a little bit, and I went to college for nursing, and so I was learning a little bit about the DNA and anatomy and physiology and whatnot. But I don't remember enough to tell you guys, and I wouldn't feel comfortable like repeating all this information of something I'm not educated in. So go to Dr. Neil deGrasse's documentary on Tubi. I forget the name. I'm sorry. Okay. Meditation and consciousness with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And this is something that I want to correlate into forensic psychology, and which is a big reason why I put it on the motherfucking board. Okay. But meditation and consciousness has a lot to do with people's behaviors. So again, with myself in the depression, I fucking couldn't do anything. Like, hated my life. Obviously, it was just a little hermit like motherfucker. I'm gonna sleep at her. Or I was pissed off. And I've had those type of like depressions too, where I'm like, I'm just gonna fucking punch you in the face really quick. But once I started meditating, it brought a new sense of positivity to me that like I can't even express. Like it's so therapeutic, and I've been through a lot of fucking therapy. Okay, a lot of fucking therapy. That shit is good. Now when you take that, because somebody out there is gonna be like, Caitlin, they should just go to therapy. Shut the fuck up for a second, okay? Because they fucking don't. What if we took prisoners, okay, or people in the jail system, whatever you want to call it right now, I'm blanking. What if we got them to meditate while they're incarcerated? Like, what if we implemented Joe Dispenza's ideology and his studies into the fucking prison systems? Now, people are going to be like, no one's going to do that, and they can go to therapy, like I just said. No, people really don't do it, okay? They do what the fuck they gotta do in prison, and that's about it. And I understand that it's a rough life, dude. I can't imagine. But at the same time, there are therapists there, but sometimes therapy isn't for everyone. I've never heard about meditation like groups and stuff in the prisons. Have you? Please tell me in the comments, because I fucking haven't heard about anything like that. But it's something to think about, and it's something to also, I wish I could tell you guys more about the prefrontal cortex and like the amygdala and stuff like that, or however you say it, and how it correlates with human behavior, if it's like destroyed, tampered with, anything like that. But I'm not knowledgeable in it yet, so that fucking sucks. But there are certain parts of the brain that get, I hate to say it like this, but fucked up. And it causes people to get fucked up. And a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, a lot of stored nastiness goes in the body after shit. And it really can change a fucking person. And people refuse sometimes to think that or believe it. But if someone has, like, let's say major fucking depression or something like that, that has caused them to commit a really fucking bad crime, or like any crime of the sorts, whatever, that they're getting prosecuted for, what if instead of therapy we can get them the help like what Dr. Joe Dispenza is saying, and really rewire their brain? What would the statistics be for recidivism? And for my viewers out there who don't know what recidivism is, it's the act of committing a crime again. It's typically pretty high amongst criminals in general, but you'd be surprised to learn that it's actually not as high amongst murderers, because most people, don't come from me, that commit murders typically are prosecuted again. It's not actually that likely to be a serial killer as much as everyone thinks. The people think that, oh, someone's killed someone, they're a fucking serial killer. No, dog, that's not how it works. Okay, that's not how it goes, right, our bubble. But anyway, and then the quantum physics and manifestation. This is a big one that I want to talk about, but on the opposite end again of like negativity and shit with, let's say criminals again. Okay, for an example. But from the basics. So let's say I'm abused growing up, okay? And then randomly I'm start shoplifting, I start robbing banks or something. I'm doing like heavy crimes now. When you're thinking negative things around you and you grew up with abuse and you don't know pretty much anything else around you because you are a product of your environment when you're younger, until you can gain like consciousness of your environment to make a decision on what to do, whether good or bad, things manifest in your life. So if you're in a negative situation and have a negative life around you, and people are doing these things around you, and you think that's how things are supposed to roll, subconsciously you're manifesting more of it. So even if you're like, dude, fuck this situation, I fucking hate the house I'm in, my parents treat me like shit, like they're abusing me, and you like keep getting into it, which I know this sounds really fucked up, but it's the truth. It manifests more to you. Or like, God, what's the guy's, I need to look up the dude's law right now, but the fear of something happening, like the obsessive fear of something happening, actually manifests it more towards you. And the likelihood of it happening, it pretty much says it has to happen. So I'm going to say, what's the law of fear manifesting something? Let's just say for sure. I think the guy's name starts with like an F or something. It's somebody F law. So this one says the law of attraction, but that's not it. It's someone's law. Someone's law. I also was going to figure out how to put my screen on this so that way you guys could see what I'm searching up. And then I was like, I don't really think anybody would give a fuck. So, Neville Goddard's law of assumption. Neville Goddard taught the key that the key to manifesting anything in your life is to assume, no, that's not the guy. Well, this is another guy anyway that also studied manifesting and whatnot, but I can't find the law right now. I'll have to look it up later and then tell you guys. I'm pretty sure I put it on my Instagram story, but that's pretty much how it works. So what I'm interested in is, yes, forensic psychology and understanding why people do what they do and whatnot. But I like that little fucking question too that I just said. I just told you, if someone has negative behavior around them, obviously it affects their brain, correct? Yes. And then it affects their subconscious and it manifests things towards them. More negative behavior, more things. How do we correlate that with forensic psychology? And do we integrate that in some ways in the criminal justice system? At first I was thinking about it, I was like, no, there's no way, because it's like, it's fucking woo-woo shit. And then I was like, well, hold on. It is woo-woo to people, but it's proven. So I don't think it's woo-woo because I'm a science fucking nerd and I like wig out on this shit. I love it. And I know that it's proven, but to other people it's woo-woo. So how would you bring it in? And it's things like that that get my mind rolling. I'm like, how can we if the more we change people, which obviously, yes, like be kind, be caring, like that's fucking great. And I love being that person. Like I didn't know if my camera went down a little bit. I don't know if it did. Anyway, that's a little weird, but that just really threw me off track. Okay, let's move on. So let's talk about, because I forgot what I was talking about for a second. So let's move on to something else. On my board, I have also under Dr. Joe Dispenza, mindfulness meditation reduces stress by 38% and improved focus. This is also fucking true. Obviously, I'm a product, like I said earlier. But again, let's bring it into criminals. Talking about criminals and like the spaces that they're in and how much little space they have, how much of a high trauma environment it is, how they have to deal with a lot. Like I can't, I'm not saying that, oh my God, they did so like horrible things, they should live like that. I get that, but like humans are humans. Like that doesn't mean, okay, I'm gonna shut up because that's not my realm. But the mindfulness meditation reduced stress by 38% and improved focus. Again, why are we not getting our inmates to at least meditate? Introducing things like this to them, giving them more resources that they can take to their small little fucking cells. Like some sort of, I don't want to say hope, because in some contexts hope is real, and then in some contexts hope isn't, because you're either a trier or a doer. There is no hope. But that's an argument in itself. And if I'm going off track, welcome to my fucking pod. That's how it's going to be. I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. And then the next statistic that I put up was 2010. 2010 Harvard study found 62% of patients receiving placebo treatment reported improvement. Meaning that the belief that you can heal, you'll motherfucking heal. Again, shout out to the Becoming Supernatural book, because you can find a lot of this information in more in depth on this book. This really fucking helped me again. And the belief that you can heal, I did it, bitch. That was me. I was delusional. I still am delusional. And I was like, you know what, bitch? I can do this. I think I can make my social media work. And I think I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do. And I want universe to show me this, this, and this. Little by little, things have been manifesting and like coming together. And it's fucking crazy. Like even starting this podcast, I was sitting here thinking like, I'm nervous to start. What if no one likes it? What if no one this? What if no one that? Or what if I get embarrassed? And I'm like, bitch, you know what you put out for the past year? You think you're going to get embarrassed about this shit? Like, now I actually don't give a fuck. Like, everything really does happen for a reason. And even my fucked up shit that I told you about happens for a reason, because if it didn't fucking happen, I wouldn't have learned so much about universe, learned so much about physics, learned so much about forensic psych, learned so much about you guys, started my social media, like believed in something bigger than myself, be able to manifest and be fucking happy. Sorry, I needed to go on that rant. My mic is pissing me off because I hope it doesn't show up, but it's like doing it. Anywho, quantum physics and manifestation. Okay. Study of matter/energy particles existing in multiple states at once. Exhibit our behavior. Period. Okay, this is something. What was that thing with Will Smith and his wife and that one guy? And she's like, oh, it's an entanglement. I don't remember the song that's like, some R&B song. Something, entanglement. I don't know. It's something like that. But, anywho, that does the same thing. These particles are on one side to the other side, and they spinning. And when one spins like this, the other one's in the other spot spinning like that. So imagine if I put, this is going to be the weirdest fucking example ever, but just pretend. Imagine you got a camel. Okay, a big ass camel, just humping its way, just being a fucking camel, okay? And then you stick it in the woods, just somewhere fucking random in Alaska or some shit. And then on the wee other side of the earth, literally like if you grabbed a ball and put a pin through the earth, one end to the other, South North Pole, I guess I could have just fucking said that. And put another camel there, and then had the other, like one camel flip, like do a backflip, the other camel at the other side of the earth at the same time would do a fucking backflip. They're entangled. They do the same motherfucking thing at the same damn time. At the same damn time. You get the point. That's a good song. You get the point. All right. Also, unconscious habits drive 95% of behavior. I'll say it again for the bitches in the back. Unconscious habits drive 95% of behavior. You heard me, folks. So, what does that mean for criminals? Okay. That means that 95% of their fucking behavior is unconscious behavior, just like the rest of us. So let's try to be a little bit non-judgmental as much, okay? Let's do a little bit of mind our own fucking business. I had to say that just because some people are like, fuck criminals and every fucking thing. We're gonna learn. So understanding that this statistic is extremely important, because how much are people using then of their subconscious brain and pulling it to the front to be conscious? 5%. As long as my math is right. I'm not good at math at all. I failed pre-algebra. That's a different story. But yeah, that's actually really disturbing. So when you're going and talking to people and you're like, oh my God, what's up, Susie? And Susie's like, yo, fuck that bitch. She's a fucking bitch because she's dumb. Susie is working with 95% of the unconscious brain. Fuck you. No, I'm just playing. That's why we feel bad for people like that, okay? And if you think you're awake, you're probably fucking not. So, the same sense for criminals. Criminals start gathering the same intelligence as other people from experiences that they had in different environments and interactions with people, and then they start gravitating toward that, and then a habit becomes one thing. They do this, and then a little bit of that, and then a little bit of that, and whether it's robbing a bank, stealing someone's fucking purse, or full-blown murder. Even when we get into serial killers like sociopaths and psychopaths and things like that, dude, I have to learn more about it before I can regurgitate the information, because like I said, I do not feel comfortable putting out information to you guys that I don't know. And also, I can't technically teach any sort of forensic psychology. I can just tell you guys the basics and talk about it because I'm not a doctor yet. And, you know, unless I want to make it a big old Susie, I'm not getting sued. So we just get to talk about the fun stuff, though, and we're still going to correlate it. Don't you worry, boo. And we're going to talk about them motherfucking new Jersey drones, too, because plasmoids. Let's move on. Dr. Ann Burgess. This is when we're going to start getting into the forensic psychology more, okay? No more Dr. Joe Dispenza. We love him. Sweet man. But Dr. Ann Burgess, she's a bad bitch. She ended up working for the FBI, but I believe at first she was just not just a psychologist. I'll slap myself for that, okay? She was a psychologist, and she ended up becoming like pretty much the first forensic psychologist. I believe I have to double check on that fact, but I believe she pretty much was. She was doing some other work first, can't remember what. She got asked by the FBI because she was like finding so much intelligence about sexual assault and different studies that were coming out that she did, that it was just like really interesting and very telling. So the FBI invited her in and was like, hey, you're fucking smart as shit. Come here, please work with us. FBI had something called the Behavioral Analysis Unit, and they still have it to this day. But this is like when it was like groundbreaking. Like, have you ever seen the movie, or not movie? If you've ever seen the show Mindhunters, it's on Hulu. This is what got me into forensic psychology. So I fucking love this show. They only did 2 seasons. It's amazing. They canceled it. We should definitely spam Hulu for them to fucking keep doing it because it's amazing. But anyway, so she started working in the FBI, and it was in the basement with just 2 agents from the FBI. And so they're working together and they're trying to figure out things. Well, she couldn't go into the prisons and actually talk to these people because it was back in, I believe, the 70s. And you know how that time was. It was like men, oh, and women were like, you know, fuck that. But she still made so much of an impact. So going on, she couldn't go to the prisons and talk to these people, but the 2 agents could. So they were gathering information, but she's the one who came up with the questionnaire, the famous questionnaire that we ask people now to pretty much, I'm blanking on the word, but to pretty much vet who is a potential serial killer and who's not, or to criminally profile someone. She's the person who was behind all of that. She eventually even got to talk to, I believe it was not Ed Gein. I think it was either Charles Manson or Ted Bundy. But she was able to talk to them, and she caught another serial killer from them. Her shit was like phenomenal. We still use it today. Groundbreaking fucking work. Like, this girl is a woman, is a badass. She is a badass. She did a lot of work in sexual violence and trauma. Again, criminal profiling, victimology, which some people do get this confused with criminology and whatnot. Victimology is the victim's behavior, the understanding of it, and what happens after that. PTSD gets into it more like that. She also did a lot for nursing and mental health. I didn't know this. I actually, when I was researching her yesterday or today, to get more in depth, I found out that she had multiple accomplishments. She, unfortunately, when someone is raped and they come, let's say the ER, there are special nurses that have to be with that patient. There's not, like, no nurse can just willy-nilly walk in there and be like, hey, what's up, girl? Like, I'm going to help you out. It has to be a specific nurse, and they're specifically trained through RAINN, RAINN, I believe. Double check me on that. And other certifications that they have to be trained to talk to someone who was potentially or confirmed already sexually assaulted, and they're the ones who do the testing and like everything like that. So their role is extremely important, and she had a huge impact on creating that type of role and educating women, educating men in sexual assault. Like, when she first got to the FBI, she was pretty much like a laughing stock. Like the guys were like, wait, we don't give a fuck. Like thinking about rape to them was like, okay, like my bitch, if I want to have sex with her, I'm going to. Like that's just how it was. If you look up different videos of her in a lot of documentaries, you can find it easily. It's like dead ass. The videos are right there. And then you can see her being like, oh, okay, like pretty much like, fuck you, watch this. And she pulls up a video that she had made, or like different calls or something of the victims, and their marks, like their claws, like some girls had like bite marks all over them. Like she showed how violent it can get, because people think that when you hear the word rape, it's like, oh my God, like it was so violent. They got their ass beat, like something. Like there's so many different types that you can put under just a single word. It's not always like that. And I feel like these men at the time, and a lot of men still do it now, I'm not saying everyone, but it's very common that they correlate rape with violent rape only. But moving on, you should definitely look into that. Some of the statistics and facts that I found under her were 1 in 6 women will, not could, will be victims of attempted or completed rape in their lifetime. 1 in 6. If you have a large family, that's crazy to think about, because some people, like, when they think 1 in 6, are like, oh, whatever, you know. Bro, really think about that, okay? Another statistics that I found is 94% of rape survivors reported PTSD symptoms during the first 2 weeks post-trauma. When I had mine, because I had PTSD, and then obviously it at one point got extremely worse. I'm going to talk about right after the last big event. Yeah, I would say that's pretty much accurate. Like, and it can stay with you. I think it said obviously 94%. And then I believe, double check me on this as well, I think it was 64% of these 94% still have symptoms like years and years later, or it was around like 50% or something like that. So it's still a large number of people that still suffer with it years and years and years later, and possibly until death, which is fucking awful, which is why we also need to integrate more of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work into victimology. Well, not victimology, because that's the understanding of victim behavior, but Joe Dispenza's work into helping other PTSD survivors. Yeah, because honestly, I did it, and it was the best fucking thing. Like, between therapy, yes, it worked, and crying my heart out, and like doing my own like sort of universe thing, like that was great. But his fucking book saved my life. Like, was one of the top 3 things that saved my life. I will always recommend someone to please fucking read this. And when I did read his stuff, it really fucking opened my eyes to the shit I like with forensic psychology, because I love being able to go from dark ass shit to the good shit. And it's like, okay, well, if it helped me and I fucking know it's real, how the fuck do we help these people? Because I'm not one of those people that just think, you know, just let them rot. Like, at some points, yes. But I'm telling you, after the enlightenment that I fucking had with this depression and being on the verge of death and having a kundalini and then reading his books and shit, I don't agree with what people do. Obviously, murder, like rape, like horrible shit. But I do believe that everybody is put on this earth for a reason, and to learn from it, from whatever it may be, reincarnation, like all that shit. Obviously, into my work, I can't bring in the whole reincarnation thing and whatnot, because it's not proven yet, and there's studies that need to be done. Even then, if it's reincarnation, you came here to learn a lesson, you need to follow societal rules to learn a lesson overall. You can't, like, you don't want to mix church and state at all. So for my viewers too, and my listeners, know that I'm never ever gonna mix church and state. And I know people are gonna fucking say that shit, but I'm letting you know, personally, I'm not doing that. But when it comes to neuroplasticity and all of this stuff, being able to rewire your brain, that's proven. That's a thing that we can actually prove. That's scientifically proven. we can fucking do that. So if we can do it with them, why can't we do it with the people who have fucked up shit happen to them and turn them into horrible people? Because not even just for like the fuck you factor, because there's definitely people, y'all, that in my life I'm like, fuck you. Like, I don't like you at fucking all. But that doesn't mean that them as a person shouldn't still get that. I mean, at least try. And if they don't get it, then, you know, fuck them, whatever. But it's there. And I think that we should implement something like this in the prison systems at least more often, or give them something to do after they get out of prison, or for the lifers. Like, we need something. Like, they can't just, they're just going to sit in a cell and do nothing. Like, we could at least be teaching things like this. And don't even get me into the programs and stuff, because everyone's like, there's programs in prisons. There is, but I just learned that it's really not that accessible. Like, there's really not. So I don't know. It's mind blowing. But also in 2022, victimology insights were used in 68% of solved cases. So this just goes back to Dr. Ann Burgess, how studying victimology really, really helped to be able to solve cases and whatnot, and her understanding how women act after being raped. And she's also, which goes into the nursing and mental health, because it's recognizable now. Does it need to be more recognized across, I would say, no offense, the male factors? Yes, especially within law enforcement and such, because I feel like when it comes to sexual assault cases and whatnot, I feel like women will most of the time get it, to be able to deal with it and whatnot. And it's just, I don't know. We're going to bitch a lot about that, because I have a lot to fucking say about sexual assault, and there's a lot that I want to change in the criminal justice system about it. And that is something that even when I become a doctor, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to advocate some way, somehow, and we're going to fucking fight back on a lot of shit with that, because Katie Pie ain't having it. And I'm not fucking having kids in this world with laws like this when it comes to sexual assault and shit like that. Because even now, 85% of serial offenders had histories of childhood abuse. And a lot of it can't be taken care of because we don't have access to fucking therapy. Or you're fucking fine. Or we create hostile families and then don't want to teach how to regulate them. There's so much negativity that obviously it manifests. Just like I talked earlier, it manifests in negative environments because that's all you fucking know. It's all you fucking know, dude. And it's just really upsetting. Like, we could implement this type of, it's almost like being zen, being happy, being center whole. Like, it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, it works. It fucking works. And even when I was meditating, sometimes I was like, dude, I don't feel like doing this. Like, I can't do it. The fact that your neurons almost immediately change was so groundbreaking to me that I was like, I can do it. Like, I have to, because there's scientific proof. It's not like it's just some bullshit, you know? Moving on, only about 6% of rapists are ever incarcerated. Only about 6% of rapists are incarcerated. This is something that I really wanted to put on my board as well, because that's a disgusting factor. And that's something that, again, I want to change there so badly in the fucking government, dude. When I submitted my stuff for my case, I ended up finding out, because don't worry, for everyone guessing, obviously I didn't win. I didn't even get anywhere. It is so hard to get into a courtroom for a charge, let alone a civil suit. Like, most sexual assaults are done, like, I don't want to say prosecuted, but seen in court as a civil suit. And if you don't know what a civil suit is, it's pretty much like, hey, you did this, fight yes or no if they did, kind of like the guilty, not guilty, and then a settlement, money. What the fuck? Like, that's insane. And why is it so hard to prove sexual assault? and I'm going to say this on here because hopefully I can't get shadow banned on YouTube or anything. Diddy literally had so many videos of what happened and whatnot, and that's why he was also able to be put in jail, unless, you know, they have other big dogs that are like, no, fuck him, like, he's going in there. You know, I'm sure he's got big dogs already after him. But that's how it is. Like, when people say whatever, this and this and this happened, it is extremely hard to prove it. And I'm not saying that, oh, it shouldn't be easier or whatever. How do we make it more accurate? 6% of rapists are ever incarcerated. Did you also know it's, I forget the statistic, but it's almost always someone you know. And typically it's not someone's first time. I was looking up the facts earlier, and it said if someone does it like once, that most likely they will do it multiple times because they know they'll get away with it. Again, because of how our criminal justice system is set up. And I've thought about it a lot. Like, how do you prove it? Like, what do you do to, you know, really prove that shit? Because you're not going to be like Diddy and have a video. And then it makes me think about Dr. Ann Burgess and her victimology. Why is it only forensic psychologists that are knowledgeable in this? And I'm just saying, like, from a criminal justice standard, because nurses are, but why are like law enforcement agencies not, like, they get taught a little bit about it, but they're not, there's not someone. I mean, maybe in their sex crimes unit, I could be shooting myself in the foot saying that, and some places do, I don't know. But it seems as though really that would be the only way to really prove something like that, because it happens behind closed doors. And also you could have people say all day long, like, so-and-so, I could see doing that. But that doesn't mean anything. And I don't blame that, because then you can get a whole group against you, you know, and you didn't really do shit. That's how you get not guilty people or innocent people in prison, you know? So what the fuck do we do? And I also found out that they don't have to tell you why you didn't even get in court. So literally they'll just tell you, like, oh, it's dropped. And they literally can't tell you anything. What the fuck? Like, I don't know. I just really realized hardcore that through this process, victims get fucking shit on, like, hard. And I don't like it. And it also makes me think, for the people who did have to go to court and talk to someone, all you're really being briefed by is your lawyer. So when you're going over questions and whatnot and getting asked stuff, you're just talking to your lawyer about it, prepping for trial. You're not ever really talking to a therapist. You don't have a therapist in the courtroom with you, anything like that. And part of me is like, why? We kind of should have a therapist in the room, because one, it's traumatic as fuck. You're reliving things. Why are we not presenting information to the juries pretty much every single time there's a big case like that involves memory? Because memories can be distorted after fucking big crimes like that, especially if the victim is living. But I wasn't, you know, whatever, you get what I'm saying. But why are we not telling the juries things like that? Because then that's why victims are so easily blamed, because their memory gets distorted, or little things will be wrong. Like, one time they'll remember the guy had a blue shirt. The next time, oh, I think it was red. Like, they won't remember like that. So then they're like, oh, you're fucking lying. No, bitch. That's not what the fuck it means. I mean, you can find out in different ways. Yes, if someone's lying or whatnot, I still think a polygraph is good. I really do. It's not admissible in court, so you can't use it, but it's a good tell-all, like in the police departments. But why can't we not use that? I'm confused. There's just a lot of things that I think that we need to dig our nails into, ladies and men, and figure out what the fuck can we get together and figure out little blanks of like what could be better, because so far it seems like sexual assault in this country, at least in America, everybody wants to be like, that's the one crime that we don't really want to prosecute. You know what I mean? Fuck that. So let's do a little recap of our dude Joe Dispenza and Miss Dr. Ann Burgess. Okay. Brain's role in the behavior. Dispenza, he is a neural rewiring. Wait, neural? Well, it's a neural rewiring. It can heal trauma or create destructive patterns. While Dr. Burgess, her criminal behavior often rooted on I can't read off this shit. She understands that criminal behavior is often rooted in the early psychological or neurological damage. That's fucking true. Which is another reason why we should mix this stuff. All of this stuff in here in blue for the people, the listeners that can't see him pointing to my board. All of this on the blue side is the recap, yes, but also other reasons that we should still be combining the two. And for people out there who think that's like this is already a thing, it's not. I at least to my knowledge, I've never heard anyone mix. I mean, I've heard people mix like spiritualism with other things, but I've never heard them mix his work, and I'm just going to say spiritualism for a lack of a better term, with forensic psychology specifically. I've never seen that. I don't even see anyone entertaining the question of what do we do with the fucking negative side of shit, like, ever. So if somebody else knows, please let me fucking know. Moving on, consciousness and decision making. Dispenza has the consciousness awareness allows us to break negative cycles. True. We already did talk about that, but this is something that I want to see how it correlates because of the recidivism. While Burgess is profiling reveals how unconscious drives lead to crimes. Again, unconscious habits drive 95% of behavior. So with profiling, you can understand how it reveals how the unconscious drives, well, I don't know why I put that, but it leads to crimes. If we know it does this, like what Dispenza says, and she can figure it out, then how will we heal it, right? That's what people would say. Boom, 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 Dispenza. And I'm not saying in every aspect this is going to work, but really, honestly, every aspect it's going to work, because that's the fucking studies that he's done. He's even seen an active, like, live time of people doing this shit and, like, tumors actively shrinking. When I tell you, that made me like, what the fuck? Go look at his shit. I swear, it's crazy. Healing and justice. Dispenza. Meditation and emotional work can heal trauma victims. Again, victimology. Study of the victim behavior. They typically get PTSD. We can use the meditation and emotional work to heal trauma. Burgess, advocacy for victims and improved legal systems is critical for long-term healing. I agree again, but the legal system is fucked up. In my opinion, I'm pretty sure a hella other bitches would agree with me. That shit's fucked up. I think collectively we need to get together and we need to figure out, okay, what are the fucking gaps? I need victims to, this sounds bad, but I need victims to reach out to me, and whatever fucking process that you went through and there was fucking gaps that you're like, I just didn't think it would be like this, or this is fucked up, or this could be changed, please email me. And it's in my IG bio. Please email me and let me know what that is, and then kind of recommend to me what you would have wanted to see different, or what would have helped you in that situation. Like I said, if you went to court, and would a therapist sitting at the table with you and your lawyer help you? Because personally, I think for sexual assault survivors, or people who had a family friend, whomever, murdered in front of them, or murdered in general, like very, very violent crimes, I think that there should be a therapist in the room. You know, shoot me in the foot, whatever. Let me know what you think. But I'm telling you right now, I think that we should have one in the room. All right, and I need to get going because my mic is starting to fuck up. But I was gonna leave you guys with a cutie little note, like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me put it up. We're gonna say quote of the day. Even though it's nighttime right now, Quote of the day for my Dark Diaries fam. And watch it say something very cringy. I'm going to be like, absolutely not, queen. All right, here we go. Quote of the day for my Dark Diaries fam. Even the darkest nights give birth to the brightest stars. Let the shadows guide your light. Super cringe, but guess what, bitches? We gonna be cringe together. All right, little ho-ho-hos. I don't know how to close out stuff because I'm awkward, and we're gonna learn that together. Bye, boo-boos.